Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Today I'm watering my Cymbidiums, well I'm feeding them as it happens. So I thought we'd take advantage of that, the fact that they've each got to come down individually, and I'll film them, we'll have a look and see how the spikes are getting on. Because I mean there's only one that's possibly coming back into growth that's completely finished blooming. All the others are in spike or in bloom. So we'll have a look at those individually as we go along. I had a nice weekend with Hannah down here. Now, we didn't do anything. Normally we get some sort of work done, but what we did was discuss a lot of stuff. And we worked out that the changes I had in mind to the grow room won't work. That's Hannah again, thinking ahead. So the workbench, which is over there, so when I'm doing work, I'm staring at a brick wall, which is not very nice. So the workbench was going to come over here. And then Hannah said, well, if that's the shelf you've got clear so that you can see the birds, if you bring your workbench over, that's quite a bit higher. You won't be able to see the birds on the feeders. And we sort of checked the heights and everything, and that was true. So the workbench is coming over here in this corner, so that I've still got a clear run through to look at the birds and the bird feeders. So the workbench and the watering table will be here. So when I'm working, I've got a nice view of the garden. Yeah, so that's good. Now there will be an odd time of the year where I might actually be stood in the sunshine. I'll work around that. Don't tend to get sunshine every day. And then this tall shelf here will go over there, and the wire shelf that currently is there can stay where it is, but the one below can go down one, and that gives me a tall shelf over there. And I think I can probably get two of the larger Cymbidiums on there, and that will be brilliant because that spaces things out, gives things more room. That has to still be tried out, but yeah, so those two shelves are going over there. This shelf will go up into that corner, the workbench and the watering table come here. And the stuff that's on these tables here, I haven't worked out whether I can get them elsewhere and do away with the tables, which I would like to do, because that'll give me even more space. So yeah, we didn't do any of it, we just thought about how it will work, and obviously when I start moving things around I'll try and find the time to do a bit of a clean up as well, and have a clean of the white plastic, which is getting quite mouldy in places again, and have a go at the glass, and perhaps do the floor as well. So that's that. Right, to film the Cymbidiums I'll take the camera down, and what I'll do is I'll film each one in turn. I won't film the watering and all the processing and the getting and putting back and all that. I'll just film the plants while they're down. So I'll shut down now and come back with the first Cymbidium. See you in a bit. Okay, so this is the first one. This is Jamie Red, and this is just starting to open. Some of the spikes are just starting to open. So we've got a spike buried in here. That spike hasn't got too many buds on, but it's doing okay. That's just opening. And we've got this one here, again, not too many buds and not opening yet. This one's got a good few buds on, and that was staked to move it away from some of the other spikes, and this one's just starting to open. And then we've got another one buried in here. That's not opening yet. That looks like a bud's going to blast down the bottom. And then we've got this one here that's got several open blooms, including one that's probably almost fully open now. So that one's coming on nicely. And then we've got another good spike here that looks like it's just starting to open. So that's good. This again was staked to move it away from others to try and spread the spikes around the plant a bit better. And then we've got this little one down here, which was actually trying to cascade, so that was sort of pulled up a bit. That hasn't got many buds on. And then we're back round to this big cluster round here. again, one was staked to move it away from others. So apart from the scale on it, which is a nuisance, this one's doing very, very well, and will probably get split up. Once it's finished blooming and I can see signs of new growth, I will probably split it, because it's just getting, it hasn't filled its pot yet, but you know, some of the latest bulbs really are close to the edge, so there wouldn't really be enough room, so we'll probably split that one. But nonetheless, it's bloomed incredibly well. That's a lot of spikes, so it's done very well. Good job. The next one is the yellow hybrid, no name. This one's actually coming back into growth as well as being in bloom. Now this really big spike here is starting to go over, starting to show some discoloration. Gets a reddy tinge, which is quite attractive actually. But this is also coming back into growth. We've actually got new growths coming up. Well, I assume it's a growth. It could be a spike, I suppose. Who knows? To wait and see. Yeah, there's another one here, although that is definitely a new growth. It's got leaves coming out the top. Yeah, and another one here, which is obviously a new growth as well. Well, it's not a new growth anymore. The leaves are nearly full size. So this one tends to have lots of things going on at the same time. The two smaller spikes in here and here, they opened a fair bit after this one, so they should still be there after this one's gone. This could have done with staking if I'd known it was going to get so big, because it's hanging over now. I could stake it now, it's flexible enough, but I don't think it's going to be on the plant long enough to worry about, quite honestly. So that's what that one. The plant itself doesn't look as good as some of the others. It has actually got some sort of tatty leaves on it, but these are old leaves. You know, this will get some bare bulbs, I suspect, during this growing season, where older leaves actually drop off. And again, it will probably need splitting at some point. I might be able to get it in a bigger pot, but it's already in quite a big pot. It's not the depth that's the problem, it's the width across the top. That's the bit where the space is needed. The roots will squash into a shallow pot if they have to. They don't do as well like that, but yeah, it's the width across the top. And to get the width you want, you're ending up with a bucket, and I don't want those size pots all around the place. So this is my biggest pot. That's as big as I'm going to go. So if plants outgrow that, then they get split. That's what's going to happen. Now this pot is very slightly larger across the top, but it's a shallower pot. It's a normal size flower pot, as opposed to these deeper ones. But anyway, that will come out and will probably get split. But it's not doing bad. It's had, I think it's already had one spike that's gone over. So it's had a number of spikes. So not too bad. Now this is Parnasse, and this is a small division basically growing on, and this is the bulb that I've grown. If you compare it with what was before, this is an enormous, nice big fat plump bulb. This is highly likely to be a flower spike, but it could be a new growth. Who knows? I'm happy to just wait and see with Cymbidiums. They'll let me know eventually, but this is the old sort of not far off a seedling bulb, this one. So it's progressed nicely and grown a very nice big fat bulb, which hopefully has got a spike on it. Yeah, so one to grow on. It will be a big plant though, you know, size of the leaves and everything, but it's a relatively small division at the moment. It is blooming size. It has got the proverbial 4 bulbs, although one of them is tiny. But certainly this bulb with the backup of another 2 is plenty big enough to bloom. So that may well be a spike. We'll wait and see. Now this is the bronzy coloured one. Basically the first of my Cymbidiums to bloom. This comes into bloom late summer as autumn starts, and blooms it well into the winter time, heading towards Christmas. It's finished blooming now. It was in bloom a long time and it bloomed well. It's just starting to show signs of growth. Like here, there's a new growth coming here. I'm sure there's more than that. Yes, there's one here. Two there, in fact. One there, one there, one there. So, oh, and another one here. So it's coming back into growth now. And look at the size of the bulbs. There's room for that bulb squashed up against the edge of the pot. There's room for that bulb and that bulb in that gap there. There's not room for that one. And where was that other little tiny one? Oh, there. And there's room for that one. So I'm not repotting this for the sake of one squashed bulb. So that one will probably stay in its pot for another year, undisturbed. There's also some new ones coming up in the middle. They'll just push around and find some space. That's what Cymbidiums do. If you think about it, all the bulbs are at ground level effectively, and they push one up in the middle of the plant when all the bulbs are touching each other. Well, they manage, you know, so they must sort of push and shove and make room for themselves, basically. So I don't think I will repot that one. I think I'll give that another year. None of them have been in their pots too long, so it's not like the media is subject to breaking down. That's not a problem. So that's one we won't have to do anything with. Just let it get on and grow. Feed and water well and all that. Right, so that's that one. Now this one is Cali Night. Almost black, with very, very pale edge, very edged, very pale, looks like it's backlit. It is a true cascade, he says, having a bolt upright spike. That's not natural. I think it just got caught behind a bulb and that was the only place it could grow. It is a natural cascade, but as that one's upright, it can stay upright and probably won't need staking. It can just hang over like that. But coming round here, this is what happens with cascades. Now this has got to be staked because otherwise I won't be able to place it anywhere. So this has got to be moved up and held about there where my finger and thumb is, and it can be allowed to arch over from that point. So I'm going to have to put a stake in and then sort of tie it in that position. This one will need the same treatment, but it can't be done yet, it's too early. Yeah, it needs to get to this sort of size before I can lift it. So that's the third spike, and then we've got another one here which is 4, and then we've got another one here which is 5. And all of those spikes, excuse the helicopter, noisy tyke, that's right overhead as well. Notice the sound drops as soon as it passes the roof, as the house is in the way then. But yeah, I always thought there was 4 spikes on here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I hadn't seen that one because it was tucked in the middle of the bulbs. So anyway, this is going to be a good show, but I will have to take control of it. Now there's virtually no scale on this one, so I think if I give this a reasonable inspection, this will probably be able to go into an Orchid Society meeting and go on the competition table. That we will have to wait and see. I mean, these leaves look pretty clean to me. And the odd 1 or 2 I can get away with because I'll just get them off with some cotton wool buds. So anyway, a bit of staking involved with this one, so I'm actually going to leave this one down, not put it back where it goes, and I'll deal with that now while it's out. Seems silly to put it back, but then again, I'd only be staking one, and maybe I should wait till next time. Next time this one will be out here and it will have already arched, I suspect. You have to go careful with your staking timing. If you do it too soon, you're liable to snap the spike because they feel very flexible, but they can just click and then they're gone. And if you leave it too late, the buds will have set their aspect. Yeah, so what they're going to look like relative to the stem. Now all of these, if you think about it, if it was left like this, they would open like that. Yeah? Well, if you then stake it, they look like that, with the lips sticking out sideways, and they look all wrong. So you need to do it prior to the bud setting, which is like now. So I will have to do that one now. And that one up there can stay as it is, and the other two will get done next time round. Other two, other three, isn't it? Was there 5 altogether? Yeah, there's another one round the back. Actually, I might be able to do that one this time as well, because the buds are just starting to split out. But yes, we will have a go at this one today. I won't film that, I'll do that as a separate thing. So yeah, coming on well, looking good, and should put on a good show, because the spikes are all good size, and the ones that are showing buds have got a good number of buds, and the spikes extend quite a bit so that the blooms aren't too clustered together. They do sort of separate out a bit, so puts on a good show, this one. And obviously last time round I bought it when the spikes were already on the plant, so I didn't grow those, if you see what I mean, whereas this is all my stuff now. So you know, all the energy went into the bulbs in my growing season and has produced these spikes. So yeah, looking good, that one. Now this is Pumilow, and you can see the effect of staking the spike part way up, because it holds it in position at the top where the first buds are, and then allows it to cascade over so that the lower buds are not below the bottom of the pot. So it doesn't have to be stood on something to allow the cascade effect, if you see what I mean. Now, these are going to be open soon, they're just starting to crack. The other spikes are miles behind, they've only just started. We've got one here, another one here, another one here, and another one here, if they are all spikes and not new growths. Hopefully they're spikes. It's the right time of year for them on this plant, so but one's just steamrolled ahead and will be open soon, so that potentially means I've got to find a place for it excuse me, where we can see it. But nonetheless, the plant's grown on nicely. This one doesn't have huge pseudo bulbs, nonetheless it has virtually full-size leaves, so it doesn't have the giant bulbs like this, but the leaves are roughly the same size. They're only a few inches shorter. I'd class this as a medium size one, certainly not a miniature. But yeah, we should have buds on this soon. They're a greeny colour, so they are a greeny yellow base basically. So more blooms to come, and spikes, hopefully spikes, just starting. Now these ones that are just starting should all be out together, and the chances are this one will have finished by then, which you know means we'll get like a second blooming effectively, if they're all spikes. But I would imagine if not all of them, most of them are. So doing okay. Now this one is Tiger Tail, and despite its overall appearance, it is actually a miniature. It's just grown into such a huge plant. It's actually filled one of my largest pots. So it's grown incredibly well. And although it's got spikes all over the place, it's almost impossible to count them, but they're tucked away in places all over the place. But this one's pushed on, and there's another one in the centre there that's pushing up as well. So they're starting to elongate now, but the number of them is quite incredible. They're all over the place, but they're tucked away in between the bulbs. They will push on, and from the last time I watered this, that one is, you know, the one we've just looked at, has pushed on quite a bit, quite quickly. So I think they will all start to move a bit quicker now. Now this one has filled its pot, so it'll have to be repotted and split, and Hannah wants a piece of this. She got a Cymbidium off of Arthur at Burnham's last time we both went down there. Arthur had some of his private plants for sale, sort of thing. Sarah said that was okay, and Hannah bought a miniature Cymbidium from him, and she likes having it around. The blooms lasted a long time, and she's thought through where she would keep it through the year. She's got a place outside where it can go, and it can also, to get the cooler part of its life cycle, she's got a basement that permanently stays cool that has a window. So she's thinking that she might sort of get a table or something down there and put that one, you know, put her Cymbidiums there. She doesn't want too many. She's only got a small flat, and these plants, they look twice as big in her place because the one she's got, although it's a miniature, it actually looks like quite a big plant for the size of the room. But she said she'll have a piece of this. As I said, this one stays small, and it's going to have to be split anyway. It will probably get split into 4, and I'll keep a piece and grow it on again. It grows pretty quickly. So anyway, they're not big blooms, so I don't know how long it's going to be before these actually open up, but they're on their way. That's the main thing. So it's pushing on. It's done quite a bit since the last time we looked at it, because the spikes, you had a job to see them, whereas now that, you know, they're becoming obvious and some are pushing on nicely. So we should get quite a few blooms on there over a reasonable period of time, because some of them spikes are much smaller than others. So there we go, that's that one. And this is another one of the smaller divisions that I've got, which is Ice Flow. So what we've got here is a back bulb and 3 bulbs. This would be the earliest, and hopefully we have a spike, but that could just as easily be a new growth. We will find out as it pushes on. I mean, it might have a blind year. It is possible. I've had some do that before, where they just miss a year out. They normally produce a good sized bulb if they do that, because all of the energy in the plant is going to go into this, whatever it is. Now if it's a spike, you know, should be okay. It's a new growth, then it'll take all of its energy into one growth, so it should be a nice good sized bulb, and then it will definitely flower the following year, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I mean, it's a reasonable plant, so should be okay. Slightly worrying. I'll keep my eye on it, but it has got, this latest growth does have marks on it that are a bit iffy. We shall see. But I keep it separate at the moment, so you know, I keep it from touching anything else just in case. So we'll see how that one progresses. If it's got those marks on the next growth, then I will chuck it. It's not a good enough, has no sentimental value, it's not a good enough plant or bloom to warrant keeping it if it's a bit iffy. So we'll see how it progresses, but at the moment I'm sort of keeping it in a place where it doesn't touch anything else. So we'll see how it progresses. Alright, the next one is my miniature Showgirl. This is a genuine miniature. But I did produce a nice big fat bulb in my growing season last year. Consequently, it's pushed up a good spike. Fully in bloom now, all the buds are open, none of them blasted, and this bloom doesn't look much from back here, but it does if you get close. It's the delicate pink that shows up when you get closer. Nice patterning in the lip, but it's not white, it's the palest of pinks, and a lot of that is showing through from behind. And then you've got the very, very delicate pink coming up on the 2 petals. So it certainly warrants a closer look. It's a very delicate, attractive bloom. So and the plant's doing okay. It will need to go in a bigger pot because the latest bulb is virtually touching the side, so it will need a bigger pot, but it's in quite a small pot. You know, it was a small division when I got it, so doing well. Now this is Cymbidium Copper. This has been in bloom for a while now, only the one spike. This is my worst plant, and I say that because it's only got 2 leaved bulbs. And one of them is an old bulb, and the other one is the one that I grew last year, which is now pushed up the spike. But the rest of the plant is just leafless bulbs, so it isn't much of a plant. And the 2 bulbs that I've got are right on the edge of the pot, so this will need repotting, if only to get rid of part of the back of the bulb plant and move it back to leave room for whatever new growth or growths I might get. This is one that I've had probably the longest, or next to longest, but I've had this one some time. It was one of the first ones I bought on a Mathers trip, and this wasn't a Mathers Foundation plant, it was from David Mather's private collection, so that they were on a sort of separate bench for sale, and I quite liked this one, so I got it, and that's really what started the craze. Or whatever you want to call it. I call it a craze. Anyway, not the best of plants, but room for improvement. That's the way I look at it, because the latest bulb is a good one, the latest set of leaves are good, so it has potential to do that again in this coming growing season. So that's that one. And last but not least is Hannah's plant, which is heavily virused, so this has to be kept totally separate, watered separately. That's why I leave it till last. And we now have one that's second to last. So that one that had the iffy leaves, I've just watered that one, put that one back so that it's not touching anything, and this is the very last one. I know this one's virused, so it's not going to pick up anything from the previous watering because it's already gone. Now this could be the virus actually affecting the plant worse as time goes on, because this spike looks like it's aborting. I think it will still open some blooms, but these buds down here don't look too clever. If you look at this spike, which is fine, and look at the colour of those sort of top bulbs that aren't open, and then look at the colour of these definitely look like they're blasting to me. So we may lose that spike and we may end up with just the one, but this one's fine. You know, this one is opening its blooms now. They're lovely blooms, they're a nice colour, nice patterning in the lip, but this plant has to be kept totally separate. And this year could be the end of it, because it's going to have to get repotted, so it's going to get disturbed, and that disturbance might actually be its last straw. But there's no room for new growths. The new growth that it's got, the 2 bulbs that have got leaves, or the 3, are up against the side of the pot. So how on earth this one finds the strength to bloom, I really don't know. But it did actually grow quite a good sized bloom. Growth. Bulb, I'll get there in a minute, come on. This last growing season, last year, and it had enough strength in it to put up 2 spikes, which it did the year before. The year before they were 2 healthy spikes of almost equal size. You can see that this is a much weaker spike this time round, and if it blasts, then as I said, the virus is getting a more firm hold. I mean, it can't be got rid of. It can only stay the same or get worse. It can't get better. So perhaps we ought to have a good look at this spike this year, because it may be the last one we ever get. We'll have to wait and see. This one will go back outside come the better weather. This one will go back outside and live under the table like it did last year, so that it definitely stays separate. I can do that when the weather's reasonable, but now it actually lives on my workbench, and that might be why the spike's blasted. Every time I need to do something on the workbench, like now, it goes in the lounge. Well, the lounge is a lot warmer, so you've got a sudden temperature change and a drop in humidity, and that doesn't do buds any good. So it could be a combination of, you know, as I said, the virus could be getting stronger in the plant and weakening it even more, or it could be that it goes in the lounge but it's not affecting that spike. So we shall see, but at the moment that's the last one. That's good. End on the worst one, yeah, why don't you? But nonetheless, the blooms are good. They are worth ending on. Very attractive blooms. If it wasn't for that, it would have gone by now. Anyway, that's my Cymbidiums, and we have a look at them on a reasonably regular basis. I think the last time was end of November, so it's been a while, you know, heading sort of whatever it is, 7 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, something like that. 7 weeks, I think. So we'll have another look in a sort of similar amount of time, and obviously any ones that open new blooms, we'll do those as individuals. So right, so thanks for dropping by and everything, and I'll see you next time.